a lot of people respect that opposed to being something different. Bernie Sanders, just go ahead and admit you prefer class over race.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
You know, you can say march Martin Luther King, that's fine. But if you go look at his clip, he marched Martin Luther King because of what Martin Luther King was doing with the Poor People's Campaign. That's correct. Nothing to do with race. He'll never, it's not that he's racist or doesn't understand racism, but he's always talked about class. He will always talk about class. And that's just what it is. Don't try to make it be something that it's not.
Can we fix
were quite low. And you also don't support reparations for slave descendants. Why do you think your poll numbers are low, and why don't you support reparations?
Well, first of all, our poll numbers are not low. I think if you look at polls in the last 6 months, they're quite high among the African-American community.
Okay.
And even in 2016, we ended up winning by good margins votes from younger African-Americans and Latinos and whites. We did very well among younger African-Americans. Look, I happen to believe that at a time of tremendous disparity, the wealth gap, for example, between the white community and the black community is like 10 to 1. Health disparities are terrible. Environmental disparities are terrible. Flint, Michigan comes to mind.
Yeah.
So I think what we have got to do is pay attention to distressed communities, black communities, Latino communities, and white communities all over this country. And as president, I pledge to do that.
Why not support reparations then?
Well, what do you mean by reparations?
By reparations for slave defendants.
I know, but what does that mean exactly?
Money.
Well, I think that right now our job is to address the crises facing the American people and our communities. And I think there are better ways to do that than just writing out a check.
So that's important.
real quick before you go? I feel like I should know this. You still suing Bernie Sanders, or did that get settled?
I will tell it this way: there was a mutual agreement.
Okay.
So y'all can translate that however you want to.
Yeah.
And just for clarity, it was for racism, discrimination, with
wrongful
the
termination.
organization. That's correct. And I'll just put it to you where y'all can go look it up and go look and see.
Is he for
mutual
real?
agreement.
Is Bernie Sanders for real? Because you used to work for him. Is he for real?
I think he's for real at being Bernie Sanders.
But is he for real for our people?
I mean, you want the truth?
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
I had issues. This has been documented several times, by past staffers, by current. I love the black surrogates they got.
Nina Turner.
Yep, no question. I think she should run for president in 2024.
Absolutely.
But Bernie Sanders is going to Bernie Sanders, and he has yet. I don't care how you puppet him up or coach him up or get prepare him to speak. He's going to always be Bernie Sanders, and he does not see race the way we see race. This has been documented several times, not only just with myself, but several past black staffers. Some black staffers who work for other campaigns know damn well. I'm not gonna say no names and no shade, but some people who work for other campaigns now know exactly why they work for other campaigns. They're just not.
Simone Sanders.
Yeah, I guess we can go ahead and say we're talking about Simone Sanders. We knew, that it was an issue on that campaign. She did an article in Essence saying that, she dealt with racism and it didn't have anything to do with the campaign. It was everybody else. Well, it kind of was people, in the campaign too. Mm-hmm. So, you're not going to hear people say that, Charlamagne, because people want jobs. They really do want to work, for these candidates again and again. I'm the only one out there that did something legally, to say, let's put it on the books. It's not about saying somebody's racist or trying to demonize somebody. But since we're on this subject, I got in trouble for saying more black people are incarcerated than those who were enslaved in 1850.
That's a fact, though.
That was a fact, and that was seen as anti-immigrant, and it's not. I'm just talking about black folks.
Right.
I'm going to continue to talk about black folks. I love everybody. I'm a Christian woman. I love everybody. But I still got to talk about black folks. And if you're going to hire me as the director of racial justice in the African American Outreach Department, then I mean that shit.
So is Bernie a racist, or just as some people in his campaign at the time were?
I don't.
You don't strike me as a racist.
I don't want to say racist.
She just said he doesn't see race the same way that
he just doesn't
see
see it the way he sees it as class.
Yeah.
I mean, just bottom line is who he is. This man is damn near 80.
Yeah.
Do you know any 80-year-old that changes up at 80?
Absolutely not. I get what you're saying, because no matter how rich a black person is, it'll be a white man that still sees you as a nigga.
Yeah, I mean, he just is who he is. I'm not saying he doesn't understand institutional racism. I'm not saying he doesn't understand that there's a difference between black people and how white people are treated. I'm saying that he believes that class and income is the equalizer. That's just not the case. No. It's not that he doesn't recognize those things, but it's just not. It's not the equalizer. And a lot of these candidates, to be quite honest with you, don't see it as well. My issue is just, if you're gonna have me to do black shit, I'm gonna do black shit. But a lot of these people who work for these campaigns, they just don't. They want the next job, they want the next opportunity. It's a lot of sacrifice that come with this, guys. I mean, you get blackballed, you don't get another opportunity, you can't work on another campaign. You pretty much just Ubering. Pretty much. I mean, you got to be prepared to Uber when you call.
Yeah, I don't know why somebody should hire you. Like, I don't know why Senator Harris' team don't reach out to you.
Well, I'm not interested in being hired. I kind of like being able to stay on this microphone. Absolutely, right. I like this microphone.
Agree with that.
This microphone hired me because that means I'm gonna be able to say.
I'm not with any one person.
That's it. I can drag whoever, say whatever. Cuss at it. I can say
fuck with a brag too, even if you on their campaign.
But see, that don't work that way. When you're a surrogate, you ride for them. Period. When you're a spokesperson, you ride for them. Period. That's why you got these folks out here spinning everything. Yeah. Every time they come out and say something, they got to spin it. They got to go. I'm the best at spin, but I don't want to have to do that for somebody. I can't. My soul won't allow me to do that. Mm-hmm. Everybody got to.
President a historically black college say what he said tonight. It's a damn shame.
So do you think that Bernie Sanders is the best candidate for African Americans, and why?
I do believe that the senator is. First of all, he does understand that we have to deal with institutional racism and bigotry in this country. He does understand. First of all, he supports H.R. 40, which Representative Conyers was right on that we need to bring people together, not to study the horrors. We know what this country did. But what is the best path forward to repair, to have truth and reconciliation? The senator and I were just talking about that just yesterday. We need truth and reconciliation in this country. But while we're doing that, you have in Senator Bernie Sanders somebody who says that my Medicare for all, I'm going to deal with making sure that we deal with health outcomes in this country when it comes to African Americans, more black doctors, more black nurses, more black teachers, investments in HBCUs that disproportionately to the positive, graduate black students at higher rates than any other institution, making sure that the $15 an hour minimum wage, which black women to this day still make less on the dollar than the average white man. And I would love to see what our averages are between us and white women. But he does understand the economics that this is both class and caste. So while we do impanel the best minds in this world to deal with the scourge of slavery, redlining, Jim Crow, black codes, you name it, blacks just flat out still catching hell in this country, you still need to have a president who is very clear about white supremacy and bigotry and institutional racism. And the senator has said that everywhere that he goes, and he doesn't just say it when he's in front of black people. You know, he just had the candidates just went before an organization to talk about, he was asked the question, it was called Faith in Action. He was asked the question about what he would do with white supremacy in this country. He said, oh, we going to war with white supremacy in this country. He gets it. You know, his father, you know, came over here, a Jewish man escaping the Holocaust, where Senator Sanders, most of his father's family was wiped out in the Holocaust. He understands this. As a 19-year-old, the very age of many of the young people here on this campus, he was fighting against that kind of bigotry. So it is in his soul. It's something that he didn't just start today or to talk about on the stage because he's running for president. He, in many ways, has been on the justice journey all of his life. So yes, he is the best for African Americans, and yes, he will deal with the scourge and the sin of institutional racism in this country, the original sin of this country.
One of your biggest critiques of Bernie Sanders?
Absolutely. I mean, it's well documented. Even the pinned tweet that I have on my Twitter, if people want to go, I've listed over 42 different items that all show the criticism, not just from me, but from former staff, from the public, from media, whether it's been alt-right media, whether it's been alt-left media, whether it's been progressive, you name it. Everybody across the board has made one comment or another with Bernie Sanders' lack of, and I don't want to get into this game of lack of understanding. At this point, he understands quite well. I am aware of many private conversations that the senator has had, as well as it's been public discourse. So for us to say that he's confused, or maybe he just doesn't know, maybe he just needs a good talking to me is a flat out lie. I mean, I don't know any other way to be clear about it. Senator Sanders knows exactly what he's doing. And I'm not saying, again, that he's racist or he doesn't care about those issues. What I'm saying is this is a man that has advocated the exact same way for the last 30 years plus. And that way has been that he believes that once the economic issue is solved, everything else will kind of go away. He still does not have an understanding that even while I was in Oklahoma City, living next door to Officer Halsclaw, who raped those 13 Black women, and when I say next door, I mean next door. Every time I pulled out of my driveway, this is before Bernie Sanders, every time I pulled out of my driveway, I was pulled over quite a bit. I could have easily been a Sandra Bland because I was in a Mercedes with Florida tags in Orlando. I was told by officers that, oh, well, normally people that have Florida tags are trafficking dope. I was told, even driving the speed limit, oh, okay, well, you're driving 2 miles under. That's usually a sign that you're trafficking dope. So, and when you look at Oklahoma, that has more women incarcerated than anywhere in the world. In Oklahoma, more women are incarcerated than anywhere in the world. That is why when also Officer Halsclaw pulled over those Black women and were able to threaten to take them to jail while they were succumbed to his advances. So Bernie Sanders still doesn't understand that although I had the income to be in the Mercedes, to appear to be doing okay, it still did not stop me from being a Black woman. And let me correct myself, because I just did what everybody else did. Bernie Sanders doesn't understand. He does understand. It's just not something that he's going to address because it affects him and his constituents when he talks about dealing with, he said, quote and unquote on his Twitter, that he is ashamed that the Democrat Party hasn't learned to talk to white working class like him. So there is when you look at the people who are motivated by the Trump side, you look at people who are motivated by the populist movement on the left, it is a lot of quote unquote white working class that feel they've been forgotten about. And so if Bernie Sanders were to talk more about black, outside of him talking about he marched with King, outside of him talking about being chained to a Black woman, then now he will be cutting off a constituency that he believes that he needs. And politicians move on their constituencies. Unfortunately, they don't move based on principle. A lot of it has to do with moving towards their constituencies and where they're going to earn the vote. So what Bernie Sanders is doing is deliberate and it is intentional. And it's okay if that's how he wants to roll. The problem is, let's not pretend that we don't see what we see. And so if I'm hired for racial justice director, I meant justice before Bernie Sanders, and I'm gonna mean it after Bernie Sanders is dead and gone if I outlive him. And so what happens in the political operative space is a lot of people like myself don't speak up, because once you speak up, you are blackballed. I know that there is a very unlikely chance that a politician will ever want to hire me again. I know that I'm actually putting myself in a bad position by speaking up. Even the attorneys at Our Revolution said that I have more to lose than they do. So I am well aware of all of the casualties involved with speaking up. But I look at everyone before me that has spoken up and has died and been beat and been whipped. They've had to endure so much more. So I appreciate this interview because it's so important that we get to the grassroots and to the people that I'm directly talking to, not the mainstream media, not the way that people have wanted to paint me because I go to Fox News. Every time I'm on Fox News, I'm always interjecting our issues, Black issues. Unfortunately, you don't hear that a lot on MSNBC. You don't hear that a lot on CNN as often as we would like, because the talking points are very clear. Trump, immigration, Me Too, LGBT. If you're not talking about what they want to hear on a 24-hour rolling cycle, then unfortunately you're not booked. How do I know? I've booked many people for CNN and MSNBC. I'm also aware that Fox loves my banter against Democrats because it motivates their base. I get that. But at the end of the day, what I stand on is the same across the board. I will not sacrifice myself, my people, or what I stand on just because, oh, well, you don't want to say it to Fox because Fox is going to use it against them. Well, maybe if somebody's using it against them, maybe if someone's calling it to their attention, maybe we can start seeing some correctiveness in this abusive relationship.
the days of what goes on in this house stays in this house are over with. And that is what we're now seeing with people like you and people like new media and people that are out there screaming and yelling, saying we see what we see. It's not that Democrat policies are not most advantageous to Black people. Of course they are, when you look at it from a broad standpoint. What I'm saying is we have got to be done with being told one thing and hiring me just to be a black face and not expecting me to advocate for Black people.